Hello and welcome to another video. If you have been a person that is often on the internet, you may recognize these here. These are called Quikjacks. They're very useful. A lot of garage mechanics use them. These models, this model is the 7000 TL, which means 7,000 pounds, and that's about the full wheelbase of a car, full-size sedan, SUV, that kind of thing. And overall, these are pretty good. They lift it, around 20 inches in the air. It's genuinely a pretty good improvement. Now, there are a couple things that have to be done first. First of all, they have to be set up, and there needs to be proper points. So, these, what looks like giant rubber Lego bricks here, they will work on a car like the Z4, which, as anyone who's worked on BMWs knows, they have the four jack points that are always missing and quite expensive to replace. But in this case, we actually have all four. But basically, this needs to be set up, and these bricks only work on a car like the BMW. If your car gets jacked up on a pinch style setup, like most American cars, this Focus ST right here, and a lot of cars are jacked up like that, then you're going to need a different adapter for that, which we don't have yet. So that's going to have to wait a little bit, but it should get done soon. But now to what actually needs to get done here. So what needs to be done here to make all of this function?
Well, first you put your elbow fitting on your cylinder compressor, cylinder, and it has a rubber seal on it, so you don't use any sealant. You just tighten it down to about 12 foot-pounds. Then you have this shorter hose here, which attaches to this fitting. You'll put some threaded sealant on there. Do the same thing for the left side. And then at this end, there's a quick connect plug you have to install. Put a little thread sealant on it. And it's the male end that plugs in to the female end. Quick connect, just like your air hoses, but this is hydraulic. So on these hoses, you put both of these ends on as well. Takes a few minutes. Then you install the fittings on the motor. Everything becomes a quick connect. You just plug it in, and turn it on.
And then once all of that's done, you just go up and down on this here controller, which you can't focus.
We now have to fill with fluid.
ATF?
Yes. And bleed out all the air, and then you can run it.
Okay.
I'm going to say it?
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a standard plug that fits into any flat screen TV, any computer screen, any laptop. But they wired the motor 220 and gave us this cord. They didn't give us the cord. But it has the plug end on it that you would normally wire a 110 outlet to. So we have to take the cord, cut it off, and put a 220 line on it. So you just got to make sure you never plug this into a TV.
Or just buy the 110 or 120 version.
Get the 120 version.
It's easier. Alright, so now for the draining process. So, just a warning from the future. If you are buying Quikjacks, do not buy the 220 volt version, like the one we have. For one, it's a pain in the ass. You have to get an electrician to make a plug, which my father happens to be one, so that was easy. And there is a 220 plug literally right next to where I'm filming by the garage, which is also very convenient, but it's just not worth it because there's so much of a headache. We can't really take our Quikjacks anywhere else and just plug them into a normal 120 volt outside of a building to help friends out. We can't do any of that because it's a 220. So they're basically stuck in the garage. They're still immensely useful. Rather would have them than not have them, but just keep that in mind. If you're buying these, just get the 120.
Put only the best. Amsoil. It's nothing better than an Amsoil.
And it's ATF. I'll leave the approved fluids in the video right about now. Go.
Should be 1/2 inch from the top of the reservoir.
Once the zombie explodes, it takes out the vampire that sucked its life away. For decades, astronomers have been puzzled by the number of tiny, dead white dwarf stars they see exploding in the night sky. But here, finally, could be an explanation. Our galaxy is filled with vampires and exploding zombies. What does that say about the
So here we see this pump, which I now need to loosen the bleeder screw and just run it through. There's going to be some fluid leaking, but the entire goal is to essentially use gravity to get the air out. So we will get to that then.
So you just need to get a little bit to come out. It means you got most of the air.
Come on. Yep. Okay.
And that's called gravity bleeding.
And then
you clean up all your drips. Now what does the book say on the next?
okay. I see fluid coming out, so fluid and air coming out at the same time. How do we know when it's out of air?
Well, like I said, you don't really have to.
Because it just says just do it until do it a bunch of times and it.
So this one's getting air. Oh, this one's starting to compress up now.
Where's the light?
Okay, this one seems to be lifting now, so let's just check this one. Okay, that one's got fluid coming out. That should be it.
So, if you are curious as to what's going on, what was just happening was very simple. What was happening was the jacks are being raised up and the bleeder screw was being loosened, and it was cleaning all the air out of it, and obviously some fluid was coming out. You may actually be aware of this kind of procedure if you've ever bled brakes, but that's basically what was going on. It's just I only have one lens and one battery with half a charge on it, so I'm trying to be very sparing with filming. So here you see when this lines up, there's this notch and this pin. What happens is this piece needs to slide out, and then you simply need to move it sideways, and then it's lined up. And now for the best part, to test it.
Hasn't reached the locking point yet. First latch.
Okay, keep going.
Yep.
So here we are, and it's pretty much all the way up at this point, and that is really high up. I mean, I can almost squat under here, and this car was a pain. I mean, if you watch the video when the transmission mounts were done, that car was on 2 sets of rhino ramps, and there was barely enough room to fit. And I can almost squat under it.
Pushed it pretty far forward.
However,
no matter which way they go in,
well, if you noticed in the footage, it is moving closer towards the stuff, per se. Yeah, you could walk through here, which isn't happening right now. So here we see under the car, it's actually pretty clean. So for reference, obviously the car is 210,000 miles, and it spent most of its life in Virginia and Massachusetts, so very much rusty. These welds look pretty good. They're holding up. I think this is OEM actually. It's really not bad at all. Here we see this, which is in good shape. I mean, it's rough if you don't live in the Rust Belt. You may think that's bad, but at least this isn't really that bad. I've seen worse.
The big question is, the Focus and the driveway is the same miles, and I wonder how it stood up.
Now the question is, these don't look bad here. These Bilstein shocks seem alright. I mean, they still have paint on them, so it's generally a good sign. They are kind of used, because as you see, paint's falling off. Just a whole lot of surface rust, and we've established the wheels don't look great. That's a pretty bad brake line, but we've known that the brake lines are bad, at least back here, since we've bought it. It looks pretty good. I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but I see a fluid leaking, so that's good. It's maybe not. Looks like transmission, at least from here. More of the same here. Some of these boots don't look very good. And here we see this from bottoming out at some point in time. And overall, for a northern car, this is actually pretty good. I guess I'll cut to the front and then take a look over there. So here we are in the front of the car, which is much cleaner than the back. We've known this because we're spent a lot of time under here. And it seems pretty much the same. A little bit of cracking over there, just old car things per se. Oil leaks because BMW. There you see there's some oil coming in here, which more than likely means the bottom side of this plate is soaked in oil, which is normal.
There's a little bit of oil in this drain plug.
Here we see over here, everything looks pretty good actually. A little bit of surface rust, but nothing out of the unusual.
Yeah, there is oil leaking.
Here we see under the transmission, looks like the drain plug is leaking. And there's some grime right here, which we've known about for a long time. So it's not that much of a shock.
But it looks like we could get to these O2 sensors now.
I don't know if you can see them on the camera, but yeah. And for reference, when it was on 2, that's the transmission mount right there, just to get a reference in the car. And
Let's go get a 6-speed for this.
For all you northern non-Rust Belt people, welcome to the Rust Belt.
Non-northern Rust.
So I'm going to leave the Quikjack descriptions in the link below if you want to look into one. This is just going to sit for a while to give it a test to make sure maybe we screwed up somewhere.
Maybe it's leaking.
Yeah, you know, put it through its test, let the issues show up. And, hopefully not the case. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I don't know. Leave a like, favorite, subscribe, you know the drill.